Good morning and warm welcome to you all. I am Vaibhav, your host for today. Our topic for today is valuation of banks. It shall be taken by Ms. Nirmala Soni. She shall be covering Nifty 50 companies list and contribution, banks in this list, parameters for valuation of banks, methods of valuation, advantages and disadvantages of methods, followed by question and answer session. Let's quickly go through the agenda. Virtual inauguration by Dr. Sundar Kataria, invoking the blessing of deity, chanting of Gayatri Mantra, introduction of speaker, presentation by Ms. Nirmala Soni, question and answer session, and last closing session. A brief introduction of Dr. Sundar Kataria. Sadgun Sangh conceived and led by Dr. Sundar Kataria, driven with a mission to elevate the quality, safety, and environmental awareness levels of industry. Sadgun Sangh is a series of educative, informative events aiming to illuminate professionals on possible solutions to current issues of industry and economy. Let's know more about Dr. Sundar Kataria. Designation and organization, Chairman and Managing Director, International Certification Services Private Limited. His academic qualification, Mechanical Engineer AMIE, Honorary Doctorate Business Management. Dr. Kataria has experience in nuclear RAPP. He started his career in building India's first nuclear power plant at Rawatbata, Kota, Rajasthan. Oil and gas, EIL. He contributed in developing India's first oil and gas field at Bombay Heights since its inception. DNV. He was head of industry and offshore development with DNV for 2 decades. ICS. He is founder of first Indian conformity assessment and inspection body known as International Certification Services Private Limited, which is a provider of total quality solution under single umbrella with wide spectrum of services. Dr. Kataria received several awards and achievements. Lifetime Achievement Award of NES Corcor, received several national and international awards. So now I request Dr. Kataria to virtually inaugurate the session.
शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
Please join us for the recitation of the Gayatri Mantra. Brief introduction of our today's keynote speaker, Ms. Nirmala ma'am. Her designation and organization, CA, Registered Valuer, SFA, and Social Auditor. Her academic qualification, FCA, Registered Valuer with IBBI. social auditor, and chartered accountant. Her area of specialization and experience: mentor with Startup India Portal, Satna Incubation Center, Jabalpur Incubation Center and Spark, Sagar Startup Park, MP Startup Center. Visiting faculty with RVO, career counselor with ICAI. Her awards and achievements: Top 50 Remarkable Woman Award 2023 presented by Diva Plant Magazine. The Real Superwoman Award 2023 presented by Forever Star India. Certificate of Appreciation received from RVO IBBN. India Book of Records received from Collector of Satna. Please welcome Nirmala ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Weber, for this introduction. So our today's topic, let me share the screen. So, as introduced by Weber, myself Nirmala Soni, I'm a FCA, our Register Valuer, SFA, Social Auditor. These are my contact details. You can approach me on these numbers or email ID. So our today's topic is valuation of banks. So we would be dealing with the various contents in this. First of all, the role of banks in the Indian economy, loan provided under various schemes for the businesses, and a Nifty 50 companies list, parameters for the valuation of banks, methods of valuation, disadvantage, advantages of methods. So first of all, we would be dealing with the role of banks in the Indian economy. As we everyone know that the banks plays a very important role in the development of any country, any society, any business. So since the bank provides the loan facilities to the running of the business, even the MSME growth has been much better because of the loan facilities provided in various sectors by the banks to them. So what are the role of the banks? Removing the deficiency of the capital formation. Since banks provide the loans to the investors don't have to go here and there for the capital requirements. They have to just approach to the banks and they fulfill the requirements. They charge the interest, but the interest for the startups and the MSME growth, the interest rates are very low because there are various schemes are provided which we will be dealing afterwards by the government, so that they can boost up the startups MSME sectors for which the banks provides the various loans. Even banks provides employment generation, employment opportunities. Since once the one business is start up, it provides the facilities to the various group of individuals. Means basically if the startup MSME sector is there, any plant is set up is there, then they provide the employment for that particular area, or even they provide the employment to many more people around that region, so that they help the development of the employment opportunities for the banks. So basically there means bank how the bank provide the loan facilities, what are the schemes are available by the banks. Recently everyone knows that Vishkarma Day was there, and on Vishkarma Day the PM Modi, Narendra Modi, our Prime Minister, has introduced a PM Vishkarma scheme, and this scheme is not for the means upper class or some, but it is for the local craftsmen and artisans. So the means our Prime Minister vision is to cover each and every person's. So not only the means startups, MSME sectors, even the local craftsmen, artisans are covered. So they are provided the loan, and they have kept the budget for this scheme for the 13,000 to 15,000 crore, and which will be allocated in 5 years. for this. And for because of this scheme, the 30 lakhs household artisans will be benefited, because our means products, Indian products are very much in demand outside India. So from local to global vision, the Modi has a Mr. Modi has set up this scheme for the artisans, and it provides a loan rate at very concessional rate. So up to 1 lakh rupees will be provided at the 5% interest rate in the first phase, and then when this 1 lakh would be recovered, then 2 lakh will be provided in second phase. So one artisan will get 3 lakh rupees, and for for the artisans 3 lakh rupees is very much important, because because they are very small persons, so nobody will be ready to invest in them. So they even the banks don't offer the loans to such persons, because no one give the guarantees for such persons. Even sometimes they don't have the homes for their own, they the property is on rent. So because of this scheme, they will be much benefited because of this scheme. Even there are various other schemes where the loans are provided, like a PM Mudra Loan Yojana. So it provides the loans up to 10 lakh rupees without any collateral facilities. So this basically, because of this various household women's, various retired persons, anyone can get a good opportunity, and they can start their own business from their home. From if they start from the initial level, they can grow up to a higher level, because the initial capital is more important for any running of the business. Like if for the startup, seed funding or initial funding is very important. Even the banks helps in the monetary policies, to implement the monetary policies. In the suppose there is a very because of this the banks monetary policies, how monetary policies are implemented, because by the banks, when there is a much inflow of the capital in the in the economy, then they charge a higher rate of interest, so that there will be the inflation will be not much. And when the so that to curb the inflation, they charge higher rate of interest, so that there no more flow of the money would be there in the economy. When the recession period is there, then they inflow the much capital through various projects, like the infrastructure projects or various other projects. So even the governments by government introduce various buy securities from the banks, so that the banks gets the money, and this money can be provided to the various other various other capital investors, so that they can invest in their business, and that in the recession period the interest charge would be less, so that there will be much flow of the income in the flow of the money in the economy, so that it helps the running of the businesses. So it takes care of banks of through monetary policies to take care of the inflation, how to curb the inflation, how to maintain the inflation rate. All this happened because of this monetary policies by the banks. Financial assistance to the industries, MSME means MSME grows because MSME helps because of the banks. They provide various loans to the MSMEs, where there are various schemes are available to the MSMEs because of banks. One can get and because to set up the plants, there are the udyog departments are there, or which help which in helping the banks, NABARD departments are there, which help the banks, and with the association of two together, they help the MSME to grow at a much higher speed. Even the saving habits of the people have increased, because of the interest they get by the banks. It helps to to keep the money in the, and it is a safe money, so the people have the habit of saving also. And these savings are invested to the given to the investors, so that they get their capital formation. Even banks helps as a safety custody. So banks charge very nominal rate of interest, so for the various schemes like a locker rent or so that any precious jewelry or metals we can store them at the bank safely. Even our important documents can be stored. So it very nominal local locker rent varies from banks to banks. There are various policies of means private banks, individual public banks, but they are very important for the means all the monies are safely. Even the banks take the insurance of the money, so the if any mishappening happened, the banks provide the indemnity of a 5 lakh rupees. Up to 5 lakhs rupees they have to redeem to the investors. So this the banks acts as a safe custody to the individuals. So all this was about the role of banks in the Indian economy. This is the Nifty 50 companies list. As we all can see, the Nifty 50 list majorly our 3-4 major banks: HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, Kotak Banks, SBI banks. All these are in this. So this contribution of this all these banks is much in the Nifty 50. So when the economy grows near about 37 to 38%, as weightage, as we see the weightage, the financial sector, banks and insurance sectors, and all the financial sectors contribute to 38% in the Nifty 50. So if the banks perform well, the economy perform well. So bank performance helps in the overall development of any economy. This I will list. This all you can see the about the means top 10 banks and their asset capitalization. Like SBI is ranking first in the capital. So it has the capital near about $650 billions. So all the major banks, 10 major banks are there. Then their capital structure. So if we are valuing capital, valuing banks, or if we want to invest in any of the banking sectors, like if we whether we want to go for the HDFC Bank, means if as an investor, whether we should invest in HDFC Bank or ICICI Bank, PNB Bank, HDFC Bank, SBI Bank, which bank would be better? How we can identify which bank would be better? How to means go selection, how should we should select, and what should be the parameter of the valuation of the banks? So these are the various parameters. This will be helpful for the both valuation as well as for the investing point of view. How to we can go for the investing of this if we want to invest in any of the banking sectors, which bank would be better, if whether we should go for HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank. So it helps in both all these parameters will be helping in both. Like first would be the net interest margin. So as everyone knows that whatever the savings deposited by the bank, deposit by the public in the banks, the bank gives the same money to the bank. Suppose the bank gives us a 5% interest rate, but the same money they provide to the investors at 9%. So the difference of this 4% is the income of the bank, and based on this net interest margin, the bank perform their structures. They take out their expenses, and based on this the margins have decided by the banks. So net interest margin is a first parameter based on which we can identify which bank is performing better. So it is calculated as a net interest income minus net interest expenses. Net interest income is whatever the income they are getting from the loans. Suppose they are getting 9% from the loans they provide to the various investors, and the net interest expenses, whatever the suppose 5% they are giving to the FD, saving account, current. So whatever this difference divided by net average interest earning asset. So here average interest earning asset would be nothing but the whatever the loans given by the bank or amount invested in a SLR. SLR means the banks have to deposit or keep a few amount to the with the RBI. So amount invested in the SLR. Like this is the example. 6% we get from the FD, 100 rupees, and bank charge 9% loans given to the business, 100 rupees. So this 3 rupees would be the net interest margin of the bank. So thumb rule would be the higher the better. So which bank gives the higher interest, which banks have the higher interest rate would be the better. Like if we compare 2-3 banks, like in this we have taken 5 banks: HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, Kotak Bank, Axis, Indus Banks, and all this information can be available from various websites since all the banks are listed. So we can easily get all the details from various websites like moneycontrol.com or BSE, NSE, Skinner.in, Yahoo Finance. So all these details can be easily available. What are their margins? So net interest margin, first of all. So if you want to invest in any stocks, or we have to value any banking stocks, how we can go for? First, we can go for the net interest margin. So which bank is performing better? We can go for with that bank. Like in the given case, Kotak Bank is performing better, 4.45. So we should go for the Kotak Bank. Or if we want to invest 50-50 to two banks, then we should first give the preference to the Kotak Bank. Then we can go for the HDFC Bank. So this can be the preference if you want to invest in various stocks. So this can be our preference. First we should invest in Kotak Bank, HDFC Bank, then Indus Bank. So this helps in the investment purpose also and valuation purpose also. Then the other ratio is a CASA ratio. CASA, as the name suggests, CA stands for the current, and SA stands for the saving account. So current and saving account ratio. So what is the current saving ratio of the bank deposits in the current saving account to total deposits? Since the banks don't give any interest in the current account, and even they give very minimum rate of interest in saving account. So this can be one of the parameter can be taken for the investment purpose, CASA ratio. So what is the ratio of the current and saving? So suppose total deposit of the bank is 100. So from 100, what is the ratio of the current and saving account? Whether it is amounting to 60%, 70%, so that the bank don't have to pay any much interest on that capital. Suppose it is 70. So on 70, they don't they have to only provide 3% interest or 4% interest. They don't have to give interest to the current account. So higher the CASA ratio indicates the lower cost of funds. So here also the rule is the same, the higher the better, because the higher cost ratio indicates the lower cost of the funds, because the banks do not usually give any interest. As I already said, the bank don't give any interest on the current account, but the banks give the interest on the saving account, which is very low. So it is computed as a CASA deposit divided by total deposits. So CASA deposit, suppose as I taken the example, 70 divided by 100. So 70% would be the
Hello.
so whether my voice is audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we have to deal with two ratios, net interest margin and CASA ratio. So the rule for the both ratio would be the higher the better. So one can analyze easily. If the bank is having the higher interest margin or higher CASA ratio, you can definitely invest in that bank, or the valuation of that bank would be better than other banks. So the third would be the cost to income ratio. So as the name suggests, the cost, the lower the cost would be better than the income. So it is also called as efficiency ratio. So how the efficient the bank is, how the efficiently the bank utilize their money, whatever the deposits they are getting, how efficiently they means give the they don't keep deposits with them only, but they distribute as a capital for the various investors. So how they manage their deposits efficiently is defined by the cost to income ratio. So whatever the cost they are incurring, even the cost for the running of the bank, like admin charges or other charges are also deducted from this, so that the profitability can be easily measured. Since the cost element is there, the cost should be lower than the income. So lower would be the better, so that the bank which has the lower cost to income ratio is performing much. It is not keeping their deposits with them only, they are distributing their uh, deposits, and they are getting much good income from that. Suppose they are keeping their investments with them, so they have to just incur the interest expenses. But if they are utilizing their deposits and giving the loans to, and they are earning 10 to 12% from them, then they would be earning the good interest amount from them. Then the capital adequacy ratio. Since the capital adequacy ratio is also known as the capital to risk or weighted asset ratio, it generally there is a benchmark by the RBI norms. The Indian scheduled commercial banks are required to maintain a CSR of 9% Webo, now it's okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sorry for the disturbance. So here also the rule is the same. Higher the better. So the banks which give the higher CSAR with the RBI, they are the better performing banks because they have the much capital. They have the much capital strength. So even if there is any uh, we can say even there is any mishappening, then the bank has a good capital base. They are not much affected by the any default made by any businessman. Suppose there are various businessmen which makes the default, the bank would not have the much affected by this because they have the strong capital base, and this capital base is with the RBI. So higher the better. Because of this default, they would not be affected much. Then there is a gross NPA and net NPA. So net NPA stands for the non-performing assets. The banks are which non-performing. Suppose the loans provided by the banks are not recovered. Then the bank transferred that loan to the non-performing after 3 months. So it becomes a NPA. Suppose the interest there is no interest received from the loan for the 3 continuous months, then they transfer that amount to the NPA. And the higher NPA ratio means the asset quality is very poor. And the net NPA would be the for this NPA, the banks also kept the sub margin like in capital adequacy ratio we discussed. Suppose the banks whatever the loan they have provided in 1 year, suppose 100 lakhs, so they keep at least some margin, so that any if there is any default by any investors, that margin helps the bank to so that they are not much affected by this because of this default. And the net NPA would be the gross NPA minus the provisions kept for this default. 100, suppose there is a default of 30 lakhs was kept as a margin. The 100 minus 30, 70 lakhs would be the net NPA. So here the rule would be the lower the better, because the banks lesser than NPAs are there, the bank's performance is much better. So lower the better. So everyone can see that the Kotak has the lower NPA. So it would be better for that. Return on assets. So whatever the assets the banks have, how they are generating the revenue. Efficiently, negative RO means the bank's assets are yield negative returns. Sometimes the banks, like I earlier also told, the banks don't give the loans. They keep means the interest rates are so high that no one approach that banks. So whatever the deposits they are having with them is not earning any income. So only the expense part is there. They are not generating good revenue for the banks. So if the banks have the return on assets higher, so that they are utilizing their all the deposits very well, so that they have the better earning capacity. So higher the better is the rule. Like everyone can see that the Kotak Bank is performing better. So they have the return on assets higher than the other banks. So all this was the parameters for the means even if you want to go for the any investments or valuation of banks, which means as per the example, the Kotak Bank would be having the much good valuation than other bank, HDFC Bank, because they are performing better. So this is the details, how the details can be taken from the websites. Like I have taken the details from the website. It is HDFC Bank details. I've taken from the Skinner website. All the financial details are given, means which financial year key ratios are there. Capital adequacy ratio, you can easily get the capital adequacy ratio, net interest margin ratio, gross NPA, what was the gross NPA, what was the net NPA. So you don't have to calculate exactly. Actually, whenever you want to invest in any banking stock or go for the valuation of any banks with your bank is performing better with other banks, you can easily go on various websites. You can download the data and you can have the comparisons, so that you can easily identify which is the better, because all the details, since all the banks are listed, you can easily get all the details from the various websites. Then this was about the how we can select the banking stock, or how do we can value means which bank valuation would be better based on the various parameters. Then which methods to be adopted for the valuation of bank. As a means as a valuer, I would like to inform you that there are the three approaches basically for the valuation: asset approach, income approach, and cost approach. So asset approach would be nothing but the whatever the means bank have the assets, various loans, or any um, what whatever the loans they have given to the various, they are the assets of the company. And whatever the deposit which the public is give deposited in the bank, or the locker, and they have kept in the locker, and they are the liabilities of the banks. So they have to calculate what how much their asset is there, means how much they have given as a loan to various investors, and how much they have money to repay to the general public. So the based on that, or the various other assets, that if there is a uh, building of the bank, furniture, or whatever the assets they are having, so based on that the means valuation of a bank can be done. So first was the asset approach. Then there is a market approach. Market approach means based on the various market approach is also called as a relative valuation, because in this the valuation is based on the multiples which we derive from the other like if we are valuing any bank, we take the multiples of whatever the banking sector multiples are there, PE ratio of a particular, if commercial banks are performing, and there are PE multiple of a 14.6. So our bank would be like a same the commercial bank, and we value our commercial bank at the 14.6 into X. So 14.6 into X. So based on the various other multiples like PE ratio, price to book ratio, book value, there are various multiples like parameters. These ratios can be easily available from the various websites, and based on this, we can value our banks. So the bank, this is a very simple method for the valuation, because we do generally just have to take the comparison from the various multiples. What are the multiples are available from various websites, and we can do the valuation. Like if we means if we generally go the Kotak Bank or HDFC Bank enjoys a higher price to book value. it is not about they are under evaluation, but they are efficiently utilizing their funds. Since everyone knows that the HDFC Bank and Kotak banks give good loan, they provide various loan facilities are given by the banks, and they charge a normal rate of interest. Suppose the ICICI Bank charges a 10.5 rate, but the HDFC Bank charges a 9% rate. So the normally the utilization of the loans deposits are much better in these banks, Kotak Bank and HDFC banks. Then there is an income approach. In income approach, we go for the discounted cash flow method. Discounted cash flow method means what will be the future earning of the banks. Suppose a bank has given loan to suppose loan of 100 lakhs in this year, and it is providing the interest rate of 14%. So the 14% and for the 20 years. So this 14% for 20 years will be the future earning of the bank. They would be getting the interest from this loan in future also. And in 20th year, they would be getting their principal repay back also. They are getting the installment of, they are getting in the interest, and they are getting the installment. So whatever the future earning and this future earning of the bank, if they are, that is discounted at a given rate. Suppose we calculate the FCFE, what is the equity value on the valuation date of the bank, then this equity cost of the bank, and we discount this future income by the equity cost, and we get the present value of the bank. So how we these are the various means. First we have to calculate free cash flow available to the equity shareholders. So means whatever the key equity shareholders are there, first we have to calculate the FCFE, net income plus depreciation plus amortization. This is the formula. Then we have to discount. Suppose this is means 100. This will be the how we can calculate. Suppose the 100 would be the interest income for this 4 to 5 years, and after that we will be getting this principal repayment. Then we have to discount this at a given rate. Suppose we take the rate as a 10% cost of equity. We discount, and this is the net present value. And when we add this present value to, we get the valuation of the bank. So total valuation of the bank would be the 565 million. Like this, the income approach can be used for the valuation of bank. Even one can go for the means various other methods for the income approach, like a dividend discount model. In this dividend discount model, we normally assume whatever the dividend payment is done. What is the dividend payment done last year? What will be the appreciation? How much interest would be means what will be the growth in this year or next year? Suppose the last year $10 was the interest dividend payment, and this year would be the 10% growth would be there, and stock price after 1 year would be 110, and we maintain that the required rate of return, that is means cost of equity or required rate of return would be the one and the same. If we assume that the cost of equity, what if the bank is performing better, we at least earn 15% return from this performance of the bank, or the cost of equity of the bank is 15%. Then if we discount by this formula, then we get the present value of the banking shares. What will be the present value of this banking share? Even one can go for it was a single dividend model, or even a growth model. If a growth is, we assume that there will be constant growth in this earning. the interest dividend earning of the capital. Then we can go for the dividend growth model also. In this, whatever the dividend payment have done by the banks, plus a 1 plus G just stands for the growth. Whatever the growth they are assuming that they would be performing much better than last year, and we expect the growth of suppose 2%, 3% in near future. Then this growth we add back the growth in this, and when we discount means by these factors, we get the present value of the banking share. Then there is a other method, contingent claim valuation. This is the very much means advanced level, because whatever the asset approach, income approach, and market approach is the classical methods or traditional methods of approach, but this is higher than this now, because right now in the recent years these methods can be also useful for the valuation of the banks, like a binomial Black-Scholes model, pricing model, or option valuations. So options, there are options. So options are nothing. First of all, what are the options? Options are the derivative instrument. So what is derivative then? Derivative is nothing but one which derive the value from an underlying asset. Suppose we take the underlying asset as a milk. Suppose we take the example like a cheese or paneer. Then the underlying asset would be the milk for them, because cheese and paneer is made from the milk. So underlying asset is milk. If the prices of the milk increases, obviously the price of cheese or paneer would be increasing. So similarly, if the value based on this option also, if the underlying asset prices increase or decrease, the option prices also increase or decrease. So it is also called as a derivative. It is a form of derivative. There are 4 types of derivatives, like a future, forward, options, swaps. But in this, we can do the valuation as per the option pricing. So there are 2 types of options: call option, put options. Call option is nothing but the call is to purchase an underlying asset. Call option is for the purchasing underlying asset, and put option is to right to sell an underlying asset at the price which is predetermined price, and a period is also predetermined. So basically there are 2 types of options, American option and European options. So American option can be exercised at any time before the expiry or at the expiry date. Like there are means option that will be expiring, or suppose 3 months period is there. So it can be from suppose the any agreement is made from January to March. So it is can be expired for any period from January to March. But European option will be expired on March only, 31st March only. But American option can be expired any date from this January to March, or on the date of expiration on 31st March also. So it has no specific date, but within that period only it can be exercised. So normally in India, the options which are dealt is a European option, because they are easy to for the valuation, because the date is fixed, because there has to be exercised on a particular date. So valuation of that any instrument can be easily made. So these are all the formulas for the valuation. So every methods have their own advantage or disadvantage. Like asset approach, it is very simple for understanding and practical usage, but there are, and even they don't require any guesswork or assumptions, but there are disadvantage also. It is very simplified valuation model, requires access to banks internal data, since all the information of the banking is required, whatever their assets are there, liabilities are there, whatever loans are they have given, how much NPA they are having, all the details of the banks have to be there. So if sometimes the bank are not ready to give all the information. So and even this does not consider the long term development perspectives of the banks. So this approach is have certain disadvantage also. If market approach is also very the simple method, because we just have to do the valuation based on the other company's valuation. Like we have to just find out the multiples, comparable transactions. If we find the same type of transactions, then we can use the multiples and go for the valuation. But this also, but to find the proper multiple and proper comparables is a difficult task. Means the same type of means if we don't find a proper multiples comparables, then the whatever the valuation we have done is not would be correct. And it does not take future prospectus of the means banks. Suppose the bank who have the expansion plans or any future plans, it does not take into consideration. So there are certain disadvantages related to this also. Then there is an income approach. It is a advantage that it is a flexible, and it takes the future expectations, like all the expansion plans or future, if they are means having that they would be means opening 2 3 branches, or they would be merging with another branches, and their deposits would be increasing, their interest revenue would be increasing in near future. So whatever their means all the projections are taken into consideration in the income approach. But there in income approach, it is very difficult to find that proper projections. So probabilities are there that whatever the projections are there is a probability that suppose we assume that the interest recovery would be 16%, but only 14% is required. So always there is a probability. Even there can be NPS also. So there are the results are not that much proper. And valuation can be easily manipulated also, because it depends upon the which cost of equity. If we take the cost of equity higher, lower, based on how we means calculation, then it can be easily, we can give good pictures also, means the stock have the undervaluation or overvaluation also. Continual claim valuations, since this is a specific better way of doing the valuation of the banks, they capture all the details, special features. So it is a better approach than all these three approach. But for this a lot of skills are required, and lot of mathematical models are there, all the calculations is, so experienced persons are very much required for the valuation of such a, if we go for the conjugate, because options means many don't know the what are the options, how they can be used, the options, what is the black shoe model, how it can be used. So various factors is involved. So calculation is difficult. So experience is much more required in this. That's all. All these are my contact details. Anyone have any questions they can ask? Thank you, participants, for your patient listening.
Thank you, ma'am, for your presentation. Now I request all the delegates and participants, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask directly, or you can put your questions in the chat box.
No questions? Webo, there is no questions, I think so.
We'll wait for a few minutes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, can you explain the advantages and disadvantages again?
Of all the methods.
Yes, ma'am. Just brief.
Okay. So basically, there are four methods for the valuation: asset approach, income approach, market approach. So all the approaches have their advantage and disadvantages. So asset approach is very simple. For the collection, we just need to all the details of the banking, means whatever the loan they have provided, how much npas they are having, whatever the details, what how much deposits they are having, how much locker rent, means locker facilities are they are having, whatever their means whatever their income they will be having from this locker facilities, and whatever their means assets on the as on date, as on the valuation date, whatever the asset and liabilities they are having, we just need to have the details of the assets. So we don't have to do any guesswork. Whatever the means uh, management gives all the details, we just have to do the valuation as per that. So basically there is a disadvantages also, because this is very simplest method. We banking, even the banks have to give all the information to the valuer. So all the information has to be given, and it does not have the long term perspectives, because of long term development of the bank, like whatever there will be any future expansion, merger or acquisitions, does not take into consideration. So it is a means one can go for this approach also. Then there is a market approach. Market approach is also very simple. We just have to find the comparables, like we can go for the PE multiples, price to book value ratios, of various, which can be easily available from various websites, because all the banks are listed. So all the information can be easily get, and we can do the valuation. But similar type of a bank. So means suppose our bank is a commercial bank, we should have the same type of comparables. Or our bank is a private bank and having a capital market capitalization of suppose 1,500 crores. So we should have the comparable of a same type of other bank which is having 1,500 crore value, means capital market capitalization. We can do not do means valuation if the other bank is having only 100 crore capital marketalization, or they are having 5,000 market capitalization. So comparables are not similar. So there can be valuation is not proper. So there is a disadvantage to find the correct comparable, correct transactions is very important. And it also does not take into consideration the future plans of the companies. So it is just is a simple method for the valuation, but it does not have any future prospectus. Then there is a income approach, and in income approach, all the future prospectus of the companies are taken into considerations, like whatever their merger acquisitions plans are there, whatever their means future earning, means if they are providing loans of 100 lakhs this year, but they are having that they would be providing 200 lakhs in next year because of this arrangement or any other arrangement of their banks. So or they would be merging in with other banks, so that they have the greater capital, means capital base, or a greater total deposits will be much better than this year deposits. So all the future prospectus are taken into consideration in the income approach. But it in the income approach, this is also means a complicated method, because the whatever the projections given by the management should be proper. Suppose they give the projections for the 100 lakhs, but there is only 80 lakhs. So the projections because our valuation would be based on the 100 lakhs. So there would be difference. So there is always a probabilities that the projections are not proper, or the results which we are getting are manipulated. So whatever the results we are getting is not up to that mark, or the cost to equity which we have calculated is not proper. So the valuation would be undervaluation or overvaluation of the banking stock. So it depends upon the whatever the projections we are getting, whatever the assumptions we are making, or so results are not that much accurate. Then there is a contingent claim valuation. In this, we can use the option valuation, black shoe model, pricing, binomial option pricing models. But for this, we have to have the experienced persons, because everyone don't have the means knowledge of the options. Black shoe, what is a black shoe model? What is a binomial model? So experienced persons are required, because normal valuations can be done by any person, but for this contingent claim valuations, the experienced persons are required for the valuation. So all this about the advantage and disadvantages.
Thank you, ma'am. So now I request, if anyone have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask directly, or you can put in the chat box. So, ma'am, I think there is no more
Much
question.
advanced topic, so everyone.
Yes. So I think, ma'am, there is no more questions. So can we go ahead, ma'am?
Okay.
Our next session is on 11th November 2023. ICS is pleased to provide you all its research and development, integrated management system, QMS, EMS, and OHSS. Excellence in Education Management System. ISO made easy in Gujarati, Marathi, Telugu, and Hindi. For reading any of the above books, please contact me, Sushma Tindalkar, on the given contact details. Feedback form. Please register on www.sadgunsang.org and go in your login and give your valued feedback to us. So thank you everyone. Thank you Nirmala ma'am for the being part of Sadgun Sang on valuation of bank. So it's time to officially close the session. Thank you everyone. Thank you ma'am.
Thank you.